So I'm going to tell you a story about change. I work for a company that is pretty embracing of change. Netflix is a data-driven company. We have a bunch of data that helps us understand, what we want to do, what's in the best interest of subscribers. We run tons of A/B tests all the time. You all are probably in about 10 A/B tests right now individually, and you're probably not in the same tests as the people that are sitting next to you. Netflix also has an inspirational leader. If you know nothing else about Reed Hastings, you know that I'll tell you that this man knows something about everything. I've been in meetings with him, and he has known minute details about what I work on that is just surprising to me that he understands at that level. But he also is able to weave a really big picture story about the direction of the company and where he thinks we should go. He stays engaged, he stays interested. It's not always delightful to have his ideas because sometimes it's really scary and out there and change oriented, but he has a lot of ideas. Failure is a pretty expected outcome. And so we're really motivating our product managers particularly to try new things and to see what works. The company started out as a mail DVD service. And so Netflix, in order to have a profitable business, needed to solve some problems in the US mail system. And so probably, one thing that's probably little known is that we did some innovation around sorting machines and gave that back to the post office. And so this is one of those things you have to sometimes do things to affect the ecosystem in order to be able to do the things you want to do. What happened, though, that helped Netflix make that leap from DVD to streaming? Some things had to happen in the ecosystem. Unlimited internet. I remember having to pay for every minute I was connected to the internet, right? The speed of internet. Those things had to happen to make streaming even possible. This visionary leader in Reed Hastings who wanted to do this video streaming business knew he couldn't go from A to C. He had to stop at B with the DVD along the way. Netflix had developed a device and a streaming device. And at the verge of putting it out in the marketplace, decided this probably isn't a great idea. How will we set up our device partners outside of this one device that we're going to create on an equal footing to be able to want to contribute to this ecosystem so that we can have a ubiquity of devices so that consumers can bring the devices they have and stream on those devices. If we have a preference for our own device, if we even set the idea in the industry that we have a preference for our own device, right? So instead of launching this device as Netflix, they spun it off, and that's Roku. Netflix likes to embrace industry standards, but we're also really mindful of not being a special snowflake. So what do I mean by this? If we need a very specific deliverable from a partner, for example, let's talk about CDN. This is probably the best example we have. CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. There are many of them out in the industry. For the first few years of streaming, we used an industry standard CDN. But it's a lot more fully featured than what we actually need. And those features are a distraction from other things that we need that the rest of the industry doesn't need. So you have a decision point. Do we stay with the industry standard and try to drive the change that we need into that product, which won't be good for the company that has that product, right? Because the rest of their customers don't need it. It'll be great for Netflix, though, right? Or do we build our own product that is very specific to our use case? Most of the time, you would think maybe you do the former, right? You just you drive that industry partner to making those changes. But if you really think about it, there are cases here where it's not in the best interest of the company. Ultimately, they're going to not serve you well. It was a very hard-fought debate at the time, right? But it has worked out really well for us not to drive those changes that only Netflix needed into the CDN and instead build our own open standard and be able to put that out in the industry and affect the actual change that we needed in that standard specific to streaming, as opposed to trying to, put this square peg in a round hole. Keep doing the important things that this university is doing. We need all of you to solve the problems of today and tomorrow. Thank you.